Hello everyone and welcome back to Satisfactory. Today we're finally getting around to building the fused modular frame factory. Welcome back. Last episode we got the very loud rocket fuel factory set up and we should be making an excessive amount of power, I hope. Let's check the little power pole, just make sure nothing exploded after relogging. Nope, we are making 132,000 megawatts, which is 132 gigawatts. That should be enough to run maybe half of the factories we have in the base. Yeah, we may need to get nuclear as well. And yes, I have seen all the comments saying that I'm doing everything except for nuclear. I will get there in a little bit. Just give it a second, okay? Anyways, so today we are going to finally get the 40 fused modular frames per minute set up because we need it. I need them for basically everything. I'm sick and tired of making them in the little manual thing over there that was removed last episode. So even if we wanted to, we'd have to set something back up. That's ridiculous. Let's just do it right. So let's head back to base here. And we're going to have to do a lot of thinking because there's a whole bunch of different ways that we are going to have to go about doing this, mostly because both the recipes for fused modular frame, the base recipe and the one that is currently sitting in my MAM, take a lot of aluminum. So this is basically going to be how much aluminum do I want to spend, how much do I not want to spend, and what is the best way to mass produce a whole bunch of it without having to do a whole bunch of weirdness. That is what we need to figure out. Okay, but first things first. Just so it's way more convenient, and I should probably start doing this anyway, I'm just going to straight up take this one. If we end up using it, great. If we don't, oh well. So first things first, I guess let's figure out exactly how much aluminum we would need if we used either recipe. So in the base recipe, we would need 2,000 aluminum casings, which would be either 3,000 aluminum ingots, or I think it's like, you know what? Let's just straight up take this one as well. Molded steel pipe, that kind of sucks to see go, but, you know, honestly, I don't know if we're ever going to end up using it. Okay, but let's just take those just to have them, you know. There we go. So it is 20 to 15, so that is 4 to 3. So we would need 2,666 aluminum ingots if we went with that method. Now, what about the heat fused frame? That does take some fuel, but I don't think that's going to be a problem because, again, we're going to be building it kind of over in this area. We need this nitrogen. We need a bunch of the bauxite over here. And, I mean, the oil is literally right here, so I'm more than happy to use that. Plus, we're going to need a whole bunch of coal as well. Luckily, there's a bunch of nodes in the area. That's going to be nice. But again, for this heat-fused frame, we're only going to need 2,000 ingots instead of the 2,000 casings. So I feel like this is just going to be the best one anyways. And what about the nitrogen? Let's find out about this as well. Top one is 1,000 nitrogen. That's actually not too bad. And this one down here is, if we just take a look at the nitric acid here, it is 12 to 3, so 4 to 1. So this is actually 32 per. So this would be 1,280. And I'm fairly certain this nitrogen node over here is entirely pure. Yeah, it is. So I don't think we're going to have any problems extracting that much nitrogen out of there. So I think the alternate here is just going to be the best option because it makes the math really nice. We already have this. We've already figured this out. Oil is right next to us. Now, the main problem of today's episode, aluminum. How do we want to make it? What is the best way to go about doing this? Do I have to spend all of the time figuring out how to do the quartz recycling best? I don't know. I'd rather avoid that if possible. So let's see. We have our two options here. We have the quartz recipe, which is 6 to 4, or we have the alternate 2 to 1. So this is better, but this is more easy. What about scrap? This is where things are going to get weird, right? Do we want to do the alumina solution, which makes silica, and then send that straight to scrap and straight to the smelter, or do we want to use instant scrap, which takes sulfur? It is 15 to 30, so that would be exactly 1 to 1 on bauxite, so we need exactly 2,000 bauxite. That's what I'm feeling like is going to be the best one here, but maybe I should look into this, right? Because, I mean, let's just see here. 1 to 1 on this, and then that gets converted into scrap at 4 to 6. And then if we took the scrap and we just did the normal smelting, it would be... Yeah, see, now this is the problem right here. We make 5 silica doing this recipe, which we could then use again. Let's do a little bit of thinking on that and see what we can come up with. I figured it out. I had to write it all down, but let's start from the top. 12 bauxite ore will turn into a 12 solution and 5 silica. This 12 solution will turn into 18 scrap with 6 coal. So now we have a total of 18 scrap. We can use 6 of it plus the 5 pre-existing silica to get 4 ingots, and then we will have 12 left over to get us 6 ingots. So the grand totals add up to 12 bauxite, 6 coal, and some water will turn into 10 aluminum ingots. So it is 12 to 10. I think this is actually going to be perfect because we needed 2,000 ingots. 1,000 ingots would be 1,200 bauxite. Guess what that is? The exact number of a pure vein, fully overclocked on a Mark III miner. Amazing. I think that's what we're going to go with. I am very happy I figured that out basically right off the rip, so we can actually spend this episode doing something, like, building the thing. So, with that being said, we're going to need a lot of stuff. We are going to also need 1,200 coal, because it is 12 bauxite and 6 coal. So, we need a pure vein of coal, 2 pure veins of bauxite, a whole bunch of water, a whole bunch of recycling steps, and that will make us all of the aluminum ingots that we need. That is the first problem down. Okay, let's go ahead and head over there. And by over there, I guess I mean towards the heavy modular frame factory. I don't actually know where I'm going to be putting this. We want it to be somewhat close to the water because we're going to need a lot of water, I have a feeling. So I don't want to run pumps from, distant lands. And also, man, I forgot how big this factory was. Good grief. And yes, by now these boxes are completely full of frames. So hey, look at that. And let's figure out where to put this. I guess we're going to be doing most of the work in the red forest over here, mostly because that's where all the bauxite is. We got a pure vein there, we've got a pure vein there, and we've got a pure vein there. Now, unfortunately, they appear to be spread out pretty far across the place, so we're going to have to, pick 2 of them. And, I did just have a thought. We should probably just do all the ingots, kind of on site, That's a normal coal vein. That'll give us 600. That'll give us 1,200, so this is a perfect pairing. This is pure. That's normal, so this is also a perfect pairing. And that looks to be next to water, and this we might be able to leach some water off this river. I'm not sure on that. Plus, we do have a water vein right here that we could use, and that looks to be elevated up into the forest, although I guess I'll have to confirm that. But I think that's going to be the best place. So why don't we start over here, because I can guarantee there will be water on that side. Okay, off to the red forest we go. Now, can I scale this wall without falling down? That is the question. Oh, there's a merger sphere up here. I probably should just, go around picking up spheres and sloops and things, because, I probably should start getting everything maxed out, and I need to collect more sloops anyways, because we're probably going to need them for some endgame things. Looking at you, ballistic warp drives, and maybe also those, data center thingies. I don't even know what those are called. Alright, well, there is the coal vein. Actually, is this even the right coal vein? Maybe? Oh, it's surrounded on both sides by normal coal veins. Okay, well, one of those is going to be it, and the other one is this way words. But also, the bauxite should be over here somewhere. That looks like it. There we go. Oh my god, why are there so many of them? There's literally a herd. What is this? You know what? I'll take it. I got 4 out of 5. Okay, maybe I got 3 out of 5. Alright, well, pure bauxite vein is right here. The lake is up this way, so yeah, I'll probably want to use the coal vein that is that way instead, because it's going to be closer to the water. Okay, let's get started. What elevation do we want to build this? Probably over all this foliage, because I'm lazy and don't want to have to tear it all out. So I guess we'll start with the bauxite. First things first, this bauxite needs to get turned into alumina solution with 18 water. Okay, yeah, this is the part where we're going to have to figure out, oh, wait, no, we need 1,800 water? Good lord. So we put in 18, we get 6 back, so we need a grand total of 600 less, so 1,200 total water, which is 2 pipes on a technicality, but just because fluid physics are weird, I'm going to probably split that up into different sections so we don't have to deal with the pipes. Yeah. Okay, but I guess the first thing we need to do, start mining some bauxite. Boom, 1,200 a minute. And also, I will probably need to grab some power. Luckily, there's a power pole literally right here. This needs to go into, this does 120 per minute, so that means we need 10 refineries. That's actually not too bad. Of course, it does need to be split up into the sections with water, so how much is that going to be? Oh, right. We also need to solve, the recycling water problem. Right, yeah, because that was a weird thing. Okay, I think I'm just going to do what I did for the original aluminum setup and have some refineries just for full input water and then the rest for the recycled water and just make it easier that way. So that means we're going to need X amount of refineries to take 1,200 water and then X amount to take 1,600, or wait, 600, blah, blah, blah. You know what? How about instead of yapping about it for 20 minutes trying to figure out how it works, why don't I just build the thing? Why don't I just, build the thing and then I'll tell you how it works? I think that's going to be better for everybody. All right, well, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is we have enough water down here, just barely to fit 4 pumps in. Now, there may be some kind of optimization that I can do to fit 5 in, but I'm not going to sit around and try to calculate that. We can fit 4 in. That is exactly 1200 a minute on a full overclock on all 4 of these. The bad news is we're going to now have to run 2 lines of exactly 600 fluids per minute, which has a tendency not to be exactly 600 a minute. Yeah, so that's not going to be super great. We're going to have to figure out some kind of pipe shenanigans to make sure that we are always consistently making 600 a minute, or we could just ignore the problem, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to plug it in, and we're going to put a pump right next to the merged like junction thing, and we're just going to assume that it works. Sue me. If this thing is a little bit slower than it needs to be, that's fine. If we somehow accidentally make 39 fused modular frames per minute instead of 40, that's fine by me. That means we now need to separate these modules into, instead of what I was going to do, we need to do 400, 400, 400, 2 of which will be fed from those guys, and 1 of the modules will be fed from all the recycled water from the next step. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we've got this one over here. You can tell that this one is separate because of the break right here. This is going to be all the recycled water. These 2 modules, which look like 1 but are actually 2 modules, is where all of the actual water is going to be going. Let me just make sure these are split accordingly. Okay, there we go. So now we got to get the water going into these guys, and then move on to the next step, which is actually what? Yes, the coal part. So we're going to need to send these into more refineries. I'm probably going to put those here instead, and then that will go into the aluminum scrap. Okay, cool. You know what? Let me just go ahead and build that. All right, we got 2 rows of refineries in place. Each cell, which is 4 refineries, will make 400 alumina solution, which will get piped into these guys, each of which takes 100 per minute, and will produce all of the scrap that we need, plus all of the water. Now, all the water is currently all getting merged back in and going into the recycled water alumina plant, and the other stuff is going here, getting filtered in from the lake over here. Perfect. That's all of our inputs. Now, we need to go grab the bauxite and shove it in. We need to go grab the coal and shove it in, and I did just have a thought. This is a Mark III, and it needs to be fully overclocked. I can't use these belts. I have to use the cool belts, which means I'm also going to have to use the cool belts on some of these inputs as well. And I might just do all of them just so I don't have to think about it. That's probably the best way. But also, I did just realize this is coal, and coal is only at 600 a minute. So this one is perfectly fine going on the Mark V. So never mind, I was freaking out for no reason. And we can run one there and plug that in. And I also have to go put in the overclocks into this thing, but there's a whole bunch of gas clouds and hogs everywhere, and it's kind of annoying. So let's just book it over there, put them in, and leave. Just like that. Okay, there we go. That should be coal coming in at any second now. Next thing to do is get the bauxite going in, and then this thing should just kick on. Now, I hope it doesn't get messed up because of the water somehow. I don't think it can, but I'm going to have to watch this just in case. But, I mean, we'll see here. Okay, let me get rid of all these conveyors and swap them out for the good ones. Hopefully I don't run out of time crystals, but if I do, I already have a diamond factory, so I can just go make some more if we need to. But I don't think we will, considering I'm already halfway through and we're doing just fine. Now, all of the elevators do not have to be the next level because each input still is only 120, but the main line is the one that needs to be the high-speed stuff. Okay, there we go. That should start mining. Yep, already does. Here comes the bauxite, and it goes. It should be making the alumina solution and silica.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Looking good. Now we should also see some water start coming back into here. Actually not sure if it will, but I guess we'll find out. Yeah, this is only at 17.4. It is going up though, so maybe some of these are turned on. It appears not. Interesting. So what's going on here? The alumina solution is going into here. Indeed it is. And it is going into here. Okay, so maybe it is working. Okay, yeah, I think it is. I think it just needs to backfill a little bit. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. I also may need to inject a little bit more water into this thing just to make sure it's always kind of topped up. But actually, yeah, I probably need to do that. I need to make sure this is like always full of water. So there we go. We'll plug it in like this, and then if I need to do any kind of water injection, I can just simply plug it into this guy, and then this will start filling in this as well. Okay, there we go. Now there's a whole bunch of water going into this that shouldn't be, but I'd like to have it at least halfway full, so then it's kind of balanced. Yep, it's got a whole bunch of water in it. I think we're going to be just fine. All right, there we go. Next thing to do is to send one of the batches, and I'll probably just use the recycled one because that kind of makes sense. And we will send that into foundries, and then the other ones will be going into a bunch of refineries. Yep, and this is made at 30 per minute, so we will need 20 refineries times 2, 40 refineries, and then 7 or so foundries. That's not too bad. And then this will be 1,000 aluminum ingots per minute. You know what? Let's go get this placed in. All right, would you look at that? We got 5, 10, 15, 20 refineries and 6 foundries, 2 of which are overclocked to 133.3% to make 60 plus 60 plus 80, 200 times 2, 400 plus 150, 300, 450, 600, 1,000 total aluminum ingots. Nice. Okay, just like that, the first aluminum factory is done. Next thing to do is to run the aluminum ingots from here all the way over to this area. Since the heavy modular frame factory is right here, I have a feeling we are going to want to put it right here because that is between the nitrogen, heavy modular frames, oil, and aluminum. So if you put it down in this valley, maybe under this, or maybe even on top of this kind of like arch looking thing, I think that would be a perfect place to put it. So we're going to have to run a very long conveyor, and actually we're going to have to run 2 very long conveyors because I don't really want to run a large Mark 6 conveyor because I don't have a lot of time crystals. Although, maybe instead of complaining about the time crystals, I should just go use the diamonds that we have and turn those into time crystals. And then just put them in a box, put them in the dimensional depot, and then we can actually have a constant supply of tier 6 conveyors. That might just be the best thing to do. What was the hold up on that? I think it was actually building the converters. Yeah, because they take radio control units, and I did not have the factory built for that. Guess what we're doing next episode, by the way? Yeah, radio control units. And that might require crystal oscillators depending on which method I go with. We'll see when we get there. So, you know what? Actually, I think the next thing we're going to do is... Well, you know what? Why don't I do this? We've got the converter back at main base. Why don't we just use it? I think I actually put some diamonds in there last episode. Maybe I did. Hold on. Let's put down one of these bad boys, plug it in, and then we will head back to base and we'll see what I actually did last time. I did. I'm very happy I did that. Thank goodness for that. Okay, never mind. I am going to just straight up run a huge Mark 6 conveyor off of that one, and I'll probably also end up doing that exact same thing for the one that I build over here, because then it'll just be easier to run 1,000 at a time all the way over here. Okay, perfect. I also should probably go grab some more diamonds and put them in there, just so we have it, and we can get rid of that silica, so I'll go grab some more diamonds. And then I think I am just going to go build the next one. You've already seen kind of the thought process behind it and how it's going to look, so I think the best way to do this is to time-lapse it. So, cue the time-lapse. Hey guys, guess who forgot to hit the record button on the time-lapse? We'll start from here. would you look at that? There's a second aluminum factory. That should bring us to a grand total of 2,000 aluminum ingots per minute, which is exactly what we need to get these fuse frames in place. All right. Now we have to do the fun part of running 2 very large conveyors all the way out to the place we need to build the factory. And that I haven't really figured out. I think we decided this place is going to be the most optimal, so to speak. So why don't we head over there and actually build a little platform for it. We're going to have to figure out everything we need over there as well. I don't know if we're going to do anything else over there, because, I mean, we do need to make nitric acid, I believe it is. Yeah, because we are going to need to make nitric acid over here. I think we're going to make the fuel maybe on site, although I guess that depends on how much fuel we're going to need, right? It's 10-1, so I think we need 400 fuel. Okay, yeah, that's not too bad. We can just make that on site and pump it over, because that is a single pipeline. Shipping this in, and we probably will make the nitric acid on site unless there is some iron nearby to this thing. There kind of is, so I'll probably just ship over a tiny little ounce of iron from maybe here over to here, or maybe if there's a closer one. It doesn't look like it. Okay, so I'm gonna have to use a pure node of iron for this, which is a little overkill, but to be fair, I can just mark that, yeah, we're not using very much of this iron. We're probably gonna need like maybe 50 ore worth to get all the plates for this, but I'm sure we'll figure something out. Okay, now also, does nitric acid need water? I think it does. Yeah, so nitric acid needs water and the iron plate, so maybe I actually want to ship the nitrogen down, use this lake to pump some in, and then we'll just make a pipe here. Yeah, see, that's kind of the problem. And also, nitric acid is a liquid too, so there's going to be a lot of fluid pumping kind of around this area, so maybe I want to build it over here and just move in the resources via belt. I feel like that might just be easier. Or maybe we just build it over here as kind of like an appended piece? I don't know what the word is, but we could build it as part of the fused factory, so then we don't have to deal with pumping water. I mean, we're still going to have to deal with pumping fuel, but I feel like that's easier to do. Okay, you know what? Let's do that. Let's just make it a addition to the heavy modular frame factory, put down all the blenders we're going to need, put down whatever else we may need, and just pipe everything over there. Well, this might do it, and if not, we still got a little bit of space to go that way. Now, the conveyors are going to kind of be intersecting here with the coal, but I think we'll figure something out. Okay, now let's figure out what machines we actually need to put over here. If we're going to be making, let's see, 40 fused modular frames a minute, heat fused frame, it makes it at 3 per minute, so we're probably going to need 14. That does kind of check out. So that is 7 by 2. I think we can fit that in, and if not, then we'll just have to suffer, I guess. I'm not really sure, but we can figure something out. All right, there we go. I got 12 blenders in place. This should be pretty nice. What on earth happened there? No. Good grief. You know, AutoConnect sometimes is just the most inconvenient thing, but it's also pretty nice. Anyways, each one of these makes 3, so that is 3 times 12 is 36, so we just have to double, not even double, we just need to add 4 more. So if we double this one, that'll be 39, and then we just need to have 1 additional one in this one. So we can just set this to 4, boom, and that should be good to go. Okay, sweet. Now, I guess we could do the fuel calculation here. Yep, it is 400 fuel, less than that nitric acid. Now, we are going to have to make the nitric acid. We do need to figure out exactly how much of this we're going to need. We might need a whole bunch more blenders, I just realized. I don't know where we're going to put them. Maybe over here? Yeah, hopefully you don't need that many. I guess we'll find out in a little bit, though. But also, aluminum's done and frames are done, so that is not going to be too bad. Now, I probably should have had the conveyors running the other direction and have the inputs on this side, but I didn't do that. So we're going to have to run the frames this way, out, around, over, up, and then across. Okay, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and get all of the resources over here. Heavy frames are going to be easy. You just have to run a conveyor, as I just said. We're going to have to run some tier 6 conveyors from all the aluminum factories, and then we're going to have to run like 3 different pipes of nitrogen. Splitting that up is going to be rather weird, and we do need to do some exact math on how much we need and how many blenders we need. And then last but not least, we're also going to have to go set up some oil over here. Oh boy, okay. You know what? Let me go get all those pipes and conveyors in place.
I expect you'll perform better in other areas.
You literally cannot make this up. I just got killed by those spiders so hard that it crashed my game. I have never crashed playing Satisfactory, ever. That was the first time. What on earth did those spiders do to me? Good grief. All right, well, anyways, I wasn't going to make an update until, everything was ready to go, but, well, I guess we'll butt in real quick. I've got a conveyor, or actually two of them, running from the factory all the way up to, well, now here. It used to be up here, but then I crashed. And I've also got the heavy modular frames moved in already. So we just have to get the oil, the nitrogen/nitric acid, fuel, and then actually pipe in the rest of these. Okay, there we go. Back to work. Alright, there we have it. That took way longer than I'm willing to admit, mostly because I had to run back and grab a whole bunch more time crystals because I ran out again. But we have aluminum in, and it is getting stored in this nice little box here, so we can merge everything together and make sure that all 3 rows get enough aluminum ingots. I think they will. Okay, anyways, so that's 2 of 4 done. Next up is nitric acid, and I probably will end up doing that next, and we'll just do fuel last. I think that kind of makes sense. But we need to figure out how much we're going to need. So it is 8 nitric acid per fused modular frame, 320 total nitric acid needed, I think. That is produced how fast? At 30 per minute, so we are going to need 11 mixers making nitric acid. Oof. We'll probably want to do 12 because then we can split it into 4, 4, and 4. And actually, I might have enough space to just go that way and basically do this exact same thing again. Now, unfortunately, this isn't split evenly because 40 does not divide by 3. Well, cleanly, I guess I could make each one of these do 13.333. And then we would need an exact amount of nitric acid to go into here. But truth be told, we need 320 total. That's a single pipe. Let's just merge it all together and run it in. I may end up placing them above these ones, mostly because nitrogen is a gas and we can just run that up, no problems. Nitric acid, though, is a liquid, but since it's on top, it could flow right down. So honestly, I think that's probably the best option. Plus, I already have a floor right here. I can just extend this thing over these guys, and that will be no problem. Instead of boring you with another time lapse of building, I'm just going to go ahead and build the thing. So let's make it appear out of thin air. Now, we should hopefully have 320 nitric acid being produced at the moment. Now, I think that is not the case because the iron plates are the things that I put in last. I just had to go grab another impure node from all the way over here. No problems there. I think it is 5 1/3 smelters and 5 1/3 constructors. No problems. It's just going to need to backfill. Okay, but we should have nitric acid. Indeed we do, which should be all running down into a connected pipe. We should have acid in all these. It looks like we do, and this will take a little bit to fill up. Luckily, we still have one thing to go, and that is fuel. For fuel, it's going to be pretty easy. We need 400 total, and that is crafted with 200 oil residue, which can be made from 150 crude oil or 1 overclocked impure node. So now all we have to do is run over to these oil islands, put in a fuel factory, and run a giant pipe. Well, this is probably the longest pipe I've ever run in this entire game. It is going from here all the way, snaking up through here, back and around, over, kind of along this cliff face, down, over, under, down a ramp, over here, and over to here. Well, if there's any names for large oil pipelines, let me know, because then that's what we'll name this thing. But anyways, the last thing that we need to do this episode is to actually make sure the fuel is getting where it needs to be, because I can almost guarantee you it isn't. Because of pipes. I have not put any pumps except for the one over here, and I do not think this little pump right here can head lift that, so I guess we're gonna have to run a little power pole along this pipeline here and then pump the fluids up. This is why I've kind of wanted to avoid doing large pipelines, specifically for this reason. Now if I was smart about this, I would have packaged all of the fuel up and then run a conveyor, but I am not smart about this, so we're gonna do it this way. Anyways, I wonder at what point the pump stops giving head lift. I'm not sure. Because usually when you do this, there's a snap point that shows where the other pump ended. but I don't see it here. So I think it's either too far away or I'm like standing on it. And if I had to guess, it would probably be too far away. So I'm just gonna kind of place them where I think they're gonna need to be. Let's start it here. That seems like a pretty good place. I mean, I know there's not 50 meters of head lift between here and here, but honestly, these things take like, what, 8 megawatts? That's like nothing. And now we've got some snap points. So I'm going to do a little bit under each of the snap points, just so we can be extra sure. There we go. Okay, now that, in theory, should get the oil flowing all the way over. I'm not sure, though. Also, there's a cave in here. I don't think I've been in this one, and I haven't gone in it yet. So let's just go ahead and do that while we're over here. Not sure what this will be about. Wow, this cave's huge. Wow, wait a minute. Yo, this is kind of sick. Man, I should have built something in here. This looks cool. Got some spiky things over here. We got 2 lizard doggos. And some materials and a helmet? What? B374 helmet? I mean, sure. Now that's interesting. So is that another, like, helmet customization option? That's kind of cool. Anyways, this cave is pretty neat. I'm not sure if there's anything down here. There appears to be a summer sloop somewhere in this direction. I don't know if that's in the cave or above it, but oh well. Anyways, yeah, we got a bunch of spiders. We got a couple power slugs. We got some gas-emitting flowers that appear to be emitting gas, hopefully to kill off the spiders. And a nice waterfall. So hey, that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and follow our fuel pipeline now. Make sure it actually did get to where it needed to be. And also, I've installed this ladder here because I didn't want to waste a whole bunch of my jetpack fuel, because that 68 that I have is almost it. I've got 400 left in the Dimensional Depot upload, but after that's out, I'm completely out because I have not added a new piece or like a new factory for it. So we're probably going to have to start the next episode by doing that because I do not want to run out of jetpack fuel. And I'm probably just going to leech that off of the rocket fuel drone port because, I mean, I know the drones are not going to be using all 222 rocket fuel, so we can just use it from there. Okay, well, anyways, I think the fuel's getting to where it needs to go, but I'm not really sure. Yeah, there appears to be a lot, and I think it's going faster down the slopes, which does kind of make sense. Or it just hasn't got this far yet. I'm not really sure. I mean, it looks like there's a bunch in here. Oh yeah, I think we're fine. Oh yeah, indeed we are, because I am seeing some of our fused modular frames coming in. Awesome. Okay, yeah, this should start making at 40 per minute, which is probably extremely overkill, but to be fair, I know we're going to be needing it for nuclear pasta and ballistic warp drives, so it will be very, very nice to have. And it looks like the initial pieces are going into the Dimensional Depot for upload, of which we have 43 already, and counting. Sweet. That is fused modular frames done. At least I think. I'm going to sit over here and make sure this factory actually fills up properly, just to be sure, but I have a feeling we will be perfectly fine. Oh man, okay, you know what? That was a pretty long-winded factory build. And most of it wasn't actually the factory part, it was the logistics part, because it takes a very long time to run conveyors from here, here, and pipes from here and here. Next episode, when we start, we can go ahead and take a look at how many fused modular frames have built up. I'll probably just like sit around for maybe like 20-30 minutes just to let everything spin up, but hopefully by then we have at least one box full so we can start doing some real projects. Next time, we're most likely going to get the drone rocket fuel setup going so I can have some jetpack fuel and so the drones will fly more efficiently. And then we will most likely do radio control units because I'm running out and I really hate making them manually and we need them for turbo motors. Goodbye.